Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Balanced Take. I'm Tower, and next to me we have Flaming Weasel. Next to her we have Brimstorm. Then we got Griff down there, and NinthPawn below me. Everyone's kind of in an odd angle today. I don't know why Discord decided to do this, but that's what we're going with, so thank you, Discord. Today we're going to be reviewing Empire of Sin. It is a, what'd you guys call it, a strategy paradox game? Strategy-ish?
Yeah,
It's
less
RTS.
strategy than their mainline games, I would say.
Tactics game. It's a tactics game.
Tactics
Yeah.
RPG.
Yeah, tactics.
How about
Tactics with limited strategy.
Yeah, let's go with that. So for those of you who haven't watched this before, we're going to start by talking about the pros of the game, like the positives. Then we're going to move on to the cons, and at the end we give it a 1 to 10 score and an overall rating between all of us. So let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. What did you guys like about this game?
I absolutely love the music in this game, in the setting.
Yes.
Like, I love the music, especially when you're just sitting in the safe house. I love the music. It was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
The music was probably my biggest positive. I love the music. It fit everything about the game.
I almost want to double down and say that I think the whole atmosphere of the game was it felt true to what it was trying to be. Because a lot of games that are based off a historical period, they change things to not offend people, or they try to make things look glorious, and they try to pull in assets from different time periods and say music or something like that. Everything about this game to me, the whole aesthetic felt like this is a 1920s game. The moment you pulled it up,
it very much felt it.
And they didn't pull any punches. None of the gangsters were good guys.
Nope.
If you played one of them, you were not a nice person.
Yeah, it wasn't an anti-hero situation. It was just anti.
Yeah, it wasn't oh, we're gonna try to make the Venom take they did recently with the movies there, where they're they're making him a good guy. It's no, these guys, the characters you are playing are not good people. Your multiple choice options are not nice things. You have bad or bad.
Yep. I mean, I had pretty good options for some of the stuff, but that was also referring to my character's mother-in-law, so kind of explains the not kill her option.
Yeah, I had very few good options on the character I played as, too.
So,
but and even the options to technically do something altruistic still involves killing somebody usually. So.
Yeah.
So I think that's something else we can touch on, and I'll see if you guys agree with me as a positive here. The stories that were individual to each gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I like the fact that they each had their own overarching storyline.
Yeah, because
they each had their own personality.
So I'm curious, who played as what characters?
I played as 3 different characters. I can't remember the characters' names now at all. I played as Capon.
Okay. And Sweezel, you were saying?
I played as Frank Regan, Goldie, and what was it, Jefferson?
Okay. Alright.
I didn't get too far in Goldie's, but I played the longest as Frank, and I wanted to try a few ones to see if their stories were different, and they did feel different. Yeah. They had their own motivations, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I like. So, in Griffin Ninth, which guys did you play as?
I played as Mabel Ryder, I believe her name was, of the Alley Cats. And she definitely had her own motivations. In her husband used to be the lead of the Alley Cats, and he died in a car bombing. So now she's trying to run things.
Yeah.
She was the first one to pick a fight with me.
What about you, Knight?
All right, I concentrated on 2 characters mainly. I played as Al Capone, who was fun. I liked him a lot. And also Dean O'Banion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I played him a lot, and he was a good character to do as well.
Yeah, I started as Donovan, and I loved his story, but that's a con. So we'll come back to that. But I loved his story, and then I moved on to I'm trying to remember. Los Santos, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the actual guy's name. I can't remember his name. Wow. But his story was really solid. I finished his story. And I also like that the story rewards are different based on the decisions you make.
Yeah.
While still feeling authentic no matter what way you go. Because if you kill certain people, it can bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
Murder is not always the correct answer for the rewards you want. Because even I chose an option and then I went back and tested again, and it actually did make a difference sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the time. There was a lot of times where it was just you're making a choice, but there were choices that did actually matter, which felt good. Because so many times in games like this, when they give you choices, it doesn't actually matter what you choose. It's just arbitrary text to waste your time. And once you break that illusion, it actually pulls you out of the game. At least for me, it does. So having that was nice. Is there any what other big points did you guys like?
I like the way they had the relationships between the people you could hire.
Yeah.
Or it mattered who you had in your crew, how they related to each other.
Yeah. That was cool. And did you get to the point with any of your characters where you maxed out the loyalty so much that they ended up allowing you to recruit their friends and stuff?
Yeah. I had one where I got to recruit her. I don't know if it was her husband or lover, but yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that system too because it had bonuses and consequences.
Yeah.
But you were saying, Brim? Or I thought I cut you off.
I like the fact that when certain things would happen too, you would get nicknames for your people. It's really minor, but I just like that. You didn't get shot, so now your nickname's Lucky.
Yeah, you got there was nice aesthetic touches to it. So this is both a positive and a con, but I'm going to say it as a positive now. It kind of connects to that. And Griff, I think me and you were talking about this. Death is real, and I was talking about this with you too, Ninth. Death is really easy to come by in this game.
Yep.
For both you and your crew.
Mm-hmm.
You are not super soldiers. You are not mutants. And the game, it's not that it's brutal like Dark Souls and that it's punishing you. But if you mess up, you're gonna die. And if you die, that's it.
Yep.
I got really attached to Rocco, and then he's a good character, and then an enemy got a lucky crit, and he's dead, and I was just well.
Yep. That's
that. And when I was playing, it was the third person I hired was the first person I lost.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fairly early on for me still, fourth mission with that third person.
Yeah.
So that gave me that expectation of, you really don't want to roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't XCOM.
Yeah.
This is far more lethal.
Yeah.
And your people are actually competent when they start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point too, is your characters don't suck.
Yeah.
If you have a 90% chance to hit, I've had it very rare where I have a 90% chance and I miss.
Yeah.
It's nice like that.
I missed a couple times at 99%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to me with this one. Maybe it's because I was dumping all my bad luck in my XCOM game. Did any of you guys, other than me, find that you could name the gangsters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy that was put in. I love,
not the big boss guys, but
No.
the hirelings.
All
Yeah.
the hirelings, yeah.
because I at one point I had a gang of it was my boss. It was going to be Donovan. I had Donovan. I had a chick in a red dress, so I named her Red Dress, and I had an old lady with a sniper, so I renamed her Granny Goodshot. It was like a Looney Tunes style gang. It was perfect. It was great.
Yeah.
I love that. Anytime a game like this puts that in here, That's a good thing. But is there any other big positives you guys want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the setting, period. I mean, I guess it's just the games I've been playing, but I have gotten burned out burned out from walking around with a sword and a shield, whacking dragons and getting looked down on by elves. I need something that's not fantasy at this point,
Yeah.
And this was a really great setting. I enjoyed the tactics game. It's made me want to play another game I have like that called Hard West, which is a very similar game, but it's in the Wild Wild West,
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any other big positives before we move on to cons?
Something that I did like was that after you had abilities trained, you could just go back and respec them for free.
Yes. That
I
was
don't
nice.
think it would have been a bad thing to have a much reduced retrain time for it. Like instead of 360 days, it's just 36 days to retrain that level. But being able to go back and change things like that is very nice when you're figuring things out.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to cons then. But I think that was a very good amount of positives, and it was right off. I can definitely say everyone enjoyed their time. But all right, it's time for negativity. So here we go, guys. Negatives, let them loose.
Where is the multiplayer?
Seriously.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be competitive multiplayer. Like you could easily two
cooperative would be awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do. I feel like it could do like Civilization, where you're just two people on the same map type thing.
I honestly don't understand why they didn't put multiplayer into this game. Maybe it was a technical thing, but every other game that's kind of like, I should say every other game, but at least co-op. Like I genuinely don't understand why it's not there.
Yeah.
It's perfect for it. Like, oh my god, this would be so fun to get like a group of friends and fight over Chicago while doing your own individual quests. This would be awesome. Why isn't it there? But yes, that's a good one. Any other negatives?
I would say.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that like one of my negatives is kind of what Knight said about it made him want to play another game, where it's like I liked the game, I really did enjoy it, but after about 5 or 6 hours, it gets repetitive. It just kind of feels like you're doing the same things over and over again, and it's like this is really making me want to play another tactics game. So I would say that it gets repetitive.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, kind of tying to the other one. Do you think if it had multiplayer, that would help with that?
Absolutely, because that would add a whole nother element where, like, I mean, it's not like you don't have a goal to strive for already, but I feel like destroying William's empire would make me very happy.
Yeah. All right, you were saying, bro?
I have two big ones that were, the healing system in this game is one of the most aggravating things to get into. Like, you have to, I don't know how the best way to put it. You have to go through certain mouse clicks, button clicks or something to get to heal your people outside of combat. And it's annoying. It's faster just to do the ambush, swap to the character, heal your people up, and swap back out.
So, a follow-up and reinforcer to that is something I was going to bring out. Major negative for me. In my current playthrough, I am attacking Donovan's safe house. I have, 75% of the map conquered. It's a 3-zone map, because I did 3-zone max mobs to see how crazy it would be. I have, 75% of it conquered. I'm attacking Donovan's place. He has no buildings left, so he has no income at all.
Yep.
It's just his headquarters. Okay? I kill his guys. I go to heal my crew. But because of the convoluted right-clicking and left-clicking and buying the items and everything else, by the time I finish healing my crew, another army spawns outside of his headquarters. And then I have to fight them again. I had it happen 5 times in a row. But I don't want to attack the boss room without full health.
You can't actually pause the game and heal your characters up without that happening.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like, I
It's-
don't
it's a
understand.
whole.
Especially if it's not multiplayer. See,
Mhm.
if it was
Speaking of
multiplayer.
pausing, one
Yeah.
of my big gripes with this game is that I cannot pause and unpause with the spacebar.
Yes.
Almost every single game like this, you can pause and unpause with the safe bar, and I cannot tell you how many times I was like trying to pause it and I couldn't because of the freaking you can't do it with the space bar.
That's great.
Captain being here.
Griff, do you have any big cons?
Not really that haven't already come up.
Alright. What about Ninth? You got any?
Well, for me, it was mainly the multiplayer, but also, I don't know. I think the shop was confusing. Like, it didn't have stuff in really good categories to pick things out, and the problem with this game could have been easier with like helping you find stuff because there is a ton of information in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's
That
nothing
was one
but
of
nothing but information, like your stats, your this, your equipment, your that, and it'd been easier to navigate. That would have been great.
Yeah.
I did not feel like it was very intuitive how
No,
to do stuff
at all.
It did not feel intuitive at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times where I've actually had to do a tutorial. Normally I skip the tutorials. But to be fair, this is a Paradox game, so I expected it to be convoluted going into it, because their games are always convoluted. But normally there's like more of a reason for it being convoluted, like with Stellaris.
Yep.
You're running an entire galaxy.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I have Stellaris and Crusader Kings and
But-
both the Warband games, and like, so I'm kind of used to Paradox. But yeah, like this game, I had to do the tutorial and look up stuff all the time.
Normally it kind of feels with those type of games that like the extra information pays off knowing
Yeah.
it. But there's like screens in the game for like management of your economy that I literally never even looked at. Like, and it didn't affect me at all.
It seems like an afterthought. Some of the
Yeah.
screens and some of the stuff you do. It was more based on the combat, I guess, than it was the actual planning and running your business behind the thing. Which I
Yeah.
think there should have been, since you don't use that much, I think they should have had like an auto setting that someone took. Like you could hire someone to take care of that for you. You know, get a business manager or
I
something.
think you can. I think
If it was, I did not find it.
Did you put any? I hadn't tested it, but I think, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong here. If you put someone in as a lieutenant for an area, do they do that?
No, they
don't?
give you bonuses and buffs to that area.
Oh, see, I thought that's what the lieutenant slot was for. I never used it because I just didn't need to.
If there was a way to do that where he took care of it all, I couldn't find it.
Okay.
So
Did anyone?
I didn't
No.
find
Okay,
anything
'cause
like that.
I know even in like Stellaris, like when your galaxy are when your stuff gets to a certain point, you can set planets to auto take care of themselves because
Yeah.
when you get to the point where you're running like 50 different planets and an army and an econ and like a federation, it's like okay. You take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I need to delegate.
Granted, doing so is at your own peril.
Oh, of course. Like, there's downsides, which I expect. I mean, it's just like if you were running a galaxy in the real world and you
Mhm.
delegated.
Yes,
Like,
yep.
there's downsides to that. You have less control, but yeah. But I don't. So I would agree. I think there's a lot of information that like I almost feel like they were going to expand on it or utilize it, and then they just didn't.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, a fairly newer game, so maybe we'll see something in the future. I don't know.
It seems to be how it goes with Paradox games, where they release kind of janky, and then like a couple years later, they're a lot better.
Yeah.
I have two big issues that I did not appreciate with the game at all. One was the combat was janky sometimes when you would place your units. Like sometimes I could not place two units side by side at all. It just would not let me.
Yeah.
That was a big like I need this guy in cover. You have the only cover next to you. Why can I not put this guy next to you? And it it wouldn't work. Like, no matter what I did, I would go out of the mission and I could put them, like, I could reload a save and I could actually put them in the same spots that I was trying to do the other time, but it wouldn't.
Yeah. God. So I'm gonna let you. You had a second one too.
The other one is the mole system. Moles are useless in this game. Like,
Yeah, like I didn't notice anything
I didn't
happen
do
with
it.
the moles I had.
I did it just to see what it was, and they pretty much did nothing. The worst thing you can have that I found in the game was most frustrating to me, and there's some things that I had a lot of frustrating issues with, like the combat and the movement, and sometimes like my character was behind a wall and he got shot through the wall or through two walls. Sometimes that right there annoyed me.
Yeah.
But whenever you have a mole, one of your troops, one of your gangsters can become a mole for an enemy faction.
Yeah.
And there's no way to tell which one it is. And you have to just guess and hope and pray for it is. I didn't have to guess because the game took that for me. My mole was killed in combat, so I didn't have that issue after that. But they sabotaged one of my buildings and poisoned my liquor supply. And then in the third mission, she got shot and died. So I didn't have that issue no more. But I couldn't guess, because then if you guess the wrong person, it lowers your standing with them and they can leave. But there's no good way of telling who the mole is in your thing. There's no surefire. It's just trial, guess, and error, and hope and pray for the best.
So, quick story about that. First playthrough, one of my gangsters was named NinthPawn, and I got the mole thing pop up where I had one, and everyone in my gang said that it was Ninth. So I was like, okay, well, this is the only information the game's giving me about who the mole is, and everyone in my gang is saying that it's Ninth. So I called Ninth out. He wasn't the mole.
Yeah.
Then why give me that information?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it was unanimous. Like, 4 people all said it was him.
I had the same issue with a different character later on, and my group was 7 people, because I got later on into the game, I hired up to 7 people, and I don't know how this finishes out, because I haven't found the mole. I couldn't stop playing last night after all this, and I've got a mole issue again, and I don't know who to pick, because I've got like 5 people saying it's one person, and it wasn't that one person. Same issue.
Yeah. So I think one of my other big problems with it, and I think this is what I was talking about with Griff, at least as far as I've gotten in the game, when a character dies, there is never a character to replace them in the lineup.
Yeah, so like if everybody dies, is it just like there's no henchmen left? It's it
over. Now I can understand, because it's a slow process of like 1920 to 1921 and so on. So I think me and Griff were talking about it where we were saying like maybe every year the slots get filled back up with new characters.
Yeah, like it would make sense for it to refresh over time or something.
Yeah. Even at the rate of 1 a year.
Yeah, like just something. Because it's not just
like,
you using those characters either. The other
that's what I was going to say. The other bosses also use them. So if they're hiring them and they're dying, eventually like there's not going to be many options left.
Yeah, and if you're playing a long game with a lot of gangs, that's kind of a bad design. I can understand certain characters that tie into people's story modes, but other than that, I didn't really like that. And I also didn't like that every time, and this is, I think, one of the problems with the replayability of the game, every time it's the same characters as the random gangsters. Not the same gangster heads, but the random gangsters are the same gangsters every time. It's the same lady with the red dress. It's the same lineup every game. Like there's no randomization to it, which kind of hurts replayability in my opinion.
Yeah.
I wish it would just been more random. Like they had the character name and then they just have random stats and stuff. I think that would be more.
Yeah. That, or if
variety?
If they even had like a character list tied to, because if it is a single player game, so they could do this where they have a character list tied to, if you play as this gangster, these are the ones that show up. If you play as this gangster, these are the ones that show up. That way you have your own pool of characters, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't got to worry about the AI killing off potential recruits.
There we win again.
Yep, Brim, we lost your.
Yep, me.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh,
It's black.
it's a black. Wait, it's gray. There we go.
Oh, there it goes.
Hey. But that I think that was my last big con. Does anyone else have any other big cons?
I think you're forgetting about one that you were
Okay.
going to bring up.
All right.
The routing system.
Oh my God! Yes. Oh. Okay. So. I'm gonna give a story here of something that happened to me. So I was playing the game and I had like, oh, we lost Brim again. Okay, is Brim back? Okay, so I was playing the game and I had like, I think 8. Oh, okay, so I had 5 guys, okay, in my gang, and one of them was like my head advisor or whatever. The first thing you promote that's like under you, Lieutenant. Yeah, there we go. So I had her, that was Granny, and then I had the rest of my gang were like high-end veterans at this point, maxed out loyalty, like they're loyal to my guy, to the max. Okay. We're about to attack a boss area, so I'm like, well, let me recruit 2 thugs off the street to add to the group, just so we have extra bodies. I go in, I'm winning the fight, which we were outnumbered at the beginning of the fight by a bunch. But we are now ahead of the enemy. We haven't lost anybody. One of the random thugs off the street that has no connection to my guys whatsoever dies. 3 of my top loyalty people retreat from the battlefield in grief.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Now, I can understand, like, if my lieutenant died and my people retreated, or like,
It's like, you don't even know that guy. Why do you care?
if you're in like a hardcore 1920s gang and like you're super loyal, you don't retreat when the random side thug gets shot, because that's a day-to-day part of life. Sorry. Now, I do think that a system for retreating and like morale and stuff needs to exist, because it adds a sense of urgency to the battle that wouldn't be there otherwise, and I am happy it's there. But that system needs a serious rework.
Yeah.
Because if you're at a certain level of loyalty and like, or if you have no connection to the character that dies. I'm not sure if Griff, if you have anything you want to add to that.
So
because that the system needs to exist, but it needs
like
I
was raging.
It needs
so
tweaking,
bad.
because I had that happen a few times too, where I was winning a fight, it was almost over, and I had to reload because they decided to run away because some random nobody got shot.
The thing is, it's not even a morale thing. It's one of the perks on those characters that if someone dies in the party, those characters actually get scared and they leave.
Yeah,
because they
they're
don't
like
wanna die.
they're cowards or something like that. I can't remember what the exact status called, but they have like a not a perk, a trait.
Yeah, trait.
Where they, if anybody dies in battle, I'm running. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and these weren't like the cheap thugs. They were like the good, expensive, upfront thugs with
like,
max
specifically
loyalty.
the older lady who is a doctor and a sniper. She's got that trait where if somebody dies, she runs.
Yeah, that was my lieutenant.
Yep.
Max loyalty, books it off the battlefield. I'm like, goodbye. We were gonna win, then we lost. I was so mad. Thank you for reminding me of that, Griff. Does anyone else have any other negatives they want to bring up? Or should we go into rating?
I finally figured out what I was trying to say with that system. It needs substance to it.
Yeah.
It's effectively just a curtain right now with nothing behind it.
It's like a true false thing instead of having any kind of nuance to it. It's just like, if this, then this, and that sucks.
It does not feel good at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel deserved either. I can take punishment all day. I'm an XCOM 2 player. But it needs to feel deserved.
I've got like 1,000-something hours in RimWorld. I'm used to losing, but it's nice if it feels like I had some kind of control over it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on that point, have any of you noticed the enemy retreat ever?
Never. They don't retreat.
No.
Yeah, I've never seen that happen.
That's a flip side to it as well. Of it should work both ways.
Whenever I killed Capone, whenever it spawned me in the room in that battle with him, it actually spawned my main character and Capone in the same room, and I used my special on Capone, and he was the first one to die out of the whole battle. And all his people still kept coming at me. It's like, hey, I killed your boss. What do you want? Like,
especially because you take it over after that.
Like, I took over. Y'all should be working for me. Y'all should be trying to kill me more. I'm gonna pay you. Stop shooting me.
Yeah,
it made no sense.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, and I guess that also reminded me of something of when you start battles, both you and the enemy will randomly run to places.
Yeah, I hate that.
And I would much, much rather have some type of control over it.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of times they run out in the open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I would rather they just stay clustered and let me position them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry for cutting you off there, Griff.
Yeah, because it's not even the times when they run into the open that it's the problem. It's when they run into the open in the middle of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
My personal favorite is when they do that and they have a rifle. Like, not a shotgun where I can at least, blast. They're like the long-range sniper running into the middle of the enemy. It drives me nuts. But
my cameras drive me nuts.
We're going to go ahead and go into scoring. So, Brim. The blue dot Brim.
Yep.
I guess I do have one question real quick before this. How much stock are we putting in for the fact that this is Paradox?
What do you mean?
Like, because they are a big, long-time studio.
So you mean
so
how hard are we judging them?
Yeah, I would expect more out of Paradox than some.
I personally am going to judge them harder because I know they can do good work. It's sort of like when I review Path of Exile leagues, I give them a harder time personally because to me it's like they just they have more budget, they have more experience. I'm going to give them a harder time than the guys working on Second Extinction.
I don't know how much I hold it against people when it's like they're the publisher rather than the developer, because the developer's Romero Games.
Yeah.
So, there goes my camera again. Paradox is just the publisher, but I feel like they probably had more control over release and stuff, so it's probably their fault that stuff feels rushed.
Yeah.
Because they probably set the release and all that stuff, so...
Yeah. So I would say that's more of a personal decision. And with anything with these scoring is how you feel about it. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and go to the scoring, starting with Brim, who is on the far left right now. Hi, Brim. So Brim, 1 to 10, and why?
I'm going to give this a straight 5.
Okay.
It's really, there's better games and there are worse games, and this game just feels like it falls dead center. Like there's so much good there that could be improved on, but it's not improved on now. So I just think it's straight mid-road average game.
All right. Weevil.
I'm giving it a 6, because a lot of the same reasons. I feel like it's fairly average, but I did have a lot of fun with it. So the pros kind of outweigh the cons a bit, but I still feel like it's mostly just average.
All right. Cool. Griff.
I'm gonna give it a 5 as well. Just with Paradox being the producer, at least I would expect a bit more of some of these things to be flushed out, like the routing system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Night.
I'm gonna give this game a 5, and I don't really consider that a negative review. I mean, that is at the average level for me, and I didn't, in this review questioning my life choices like I have with some of the games. It was fun. I will say this: Had they released it with a multiplayer that was working and fun, I would have given this a 7 or 8 without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I agree with that.
I think I'm with ninth, sort of. I'm gonna go with a 6. I think with the multiplayer, it would have been an 8 for me. I honestly don't understand why it doesn't have a multiplayer. I absolutely love that we got a game that wasn't sci-fi or fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
I'm giving them props for that because it's just it's been so
It's
long
something
since
different.
like how stupid is it that at this time in history it is more rare to get something that is based on reality history in a game where in a world where we have years upon years upon years of human histories and wars and different crises and conflicts and cultures than it is to get something sci-fi or fantasy. Not that I don't like sci-fi or fantasy, but when I guess I'm more so saying like the general we're all gonna copy D&D or we're all gonna copy Tolkien fantasy
Mm-hmm.
sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's not even like unique fantasy. It doesn't feel anymore. A lot of the time, it's I don't
And
know.
I was being honest when I said I was burned out on that.
Yeah. So this like I am loving this. So I'm gonna give it I'm gonna give it I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I'm gonna be the high swinger. This would be a 9 for me if it had multiplayer. I honestly think it would be a 9 even with the cons. So that's gonna be it. So can someone do the quick maths of our total score?
Well,
And
did
then
you
our
give it a
average?
6 or what did you give
I
it?
gave it I gave it 7.5. 7.5.
So that brings the total to 28.5 for an average of 5.7.
All right, so there you go, everyone. That is an above average game, 5.7.
Lost audio.
You're
There we
still,
go.
you're still here. But yeah, so 5.7. Thank you all for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if you want to, hit the bell for notifications for more updates on when we do these in the future. Also, if you enjoyed Brim's commentary, he does stream on Twitch. His links will be in the description below. And if you ever want to see Ninth go on a rant or to post about people and streaming and stuff, check out his Twitter, which will also be in the link below. All right, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we will see you all next time here at The Night Show. Bye! Special thanks to our patrons, Blue Phoenix, Louie, Drew, Hollowed Zen, Antiox, Kazlor, NinthPawn, AJ, Evil Gummy Bear, A Knight Errant Gravy Train, and Suboptimal Preservation Society. Thanks, guys!